Hello there and welcome to another set of Premier League previews. We're going to be looking at three games in this video. We're going to be looking at Southampton versus Arsenal, going to be looking at Burnley versus Watford, and then we're going to be looking at a big clash between Chelsea and Manchester City as well. Please let me know what your thoughts are ahead of these three games and what your thoughts are of maybe the results, starting lineups, any of that sort of business. But let's dive straight in to Southampton versus Arsenal. Now we're going to go look at their previous games first of all, so we're looking at Premier League games only. So Southampton got themselves a comfortable 3-0 victory against a Norwich City, which are pretty much down and out in this Premier League anyway. So really it was more of a showcase for Southampton, if anything. But it was a very, very good performance by them. It really was. Very, very good performance. In the last time out for Arsenal, it was a 2-1 loss to Brighton. And it's not been a very positive time for Arsenal since then either, in terms of injuries and also the renewal of players' contracts and stuff like that. We'll try and get into some of that as well. Since Arsenal have come back, they've lost 3-0 to Man City. Probably would have happened without a red card anyway. But David Luiz, it's David Luiz, innit? It's what you get. Now, I think he's served his suspension for that now. So, it was a straight red, so I don't know if he's actually available. I don't know if a straight red is still a 3-game, like you missed 3 games or not. I'm not entirely sure. In terms of Southampton, they look like, in fact, let's just have a look at both of these games in terms of their starting lineups that they had in these games to see what they might put out in the games coming up against each other. It looks like you've got to be having Danny Ings in this Southampton team. He scores goals, he's dynamic, he's an exciting player, a player I really wish, when he was at Liverpool, I really wish it had worked out and he hadn't got his injuries that he had, because he's a fantastic player, really good striker, and just really, this team, this midfield and the attacking just has everything that Arsenal's doesn't. It has grit, it's got good passes, good players, good pressing, good energy. It has everything that Arsenal's doesn't, which should really concern Arsenal fans as well, because their midfield is it's dynamic for like 10-15 minutes, and then after that it just drops off and they all just like start jogging about and stuff like a little bit and looking like they're working, but they're not really working, and they don't necessarily have the quality that you need in the Premier League. Like when you're talking like a Southampton, who are like 14th in the league, all right, they're not very far away from Arsenal this season, but where Arsenal traditionally are, and you're saying that a Southampton team has way more energy, way more about them than an Arsenal team does. If you're not concerned already, you should be. Now let's go and have a look at what Arsenal's lineup was against Brighton. This has to change for me. Lacazette being up front, Aubameyang not playing up front ever, unless he cuts inside off the left-hand side and he cuts in to try and take a central position. But first off, you're playing him on the left-hand side, he's not left-footed. So if you're wanting to get him down the left-hand side, he's got pace, great. But he can't cross, so he's going to have to cut in to try and do a cross or play a pass. And by that amount of time, the opposition defence will have got themselves back in position. The threat is essentially gone. Aubameyang needs to be playing through the middle. He's a goal scorer. He is a massive danger. He's the most dangerous player in the box for Arsenal. They need to be playing him through the middle. If they're not going to play him through the middle, don't play him. Simple as. If you're not going to play Aubameyang through the middle, do not play him. Now, I realise that Aubameyang is also one of the top scorers in the league. He's second in the league. He's got 1 assist, but 17 goals. He's just behind Jamie Vardy as well. And I recognise that. I totally recognise that. But Arsenal are in a dire situation right now where some of them are still saying and believing that they could get top 4. I'd kiss goodbye to that one. You've got to start trying to focus on the Europa League if you want to be in it. Because Alexander Lacazette doesn't do it. Nketiah is a very, very young lad, and people keep criticising him, saying he couldn't get it in Leeds lineup, but Bielsa's a bit weird in that respect anyway. I mean, Bielsa chose Patrick Bamford over Nketiah, and yeah, I mean, Bamford, he could take 23 shots in a game and get 1 on target and it won't score. I don't really think that really counts for anything, really. I think Nketiah getting a chance is good. You're playing him up front, that's good in his natural position, but if you're going to play a young lad there in place of Alexander Lacazette, well, why aren't you playing Aubameyang when he's fit? And then you could have like a Bukayo Saka on this left-hand side, supplying balls to Aubameyang over here, having Pepe over here, scored in that game as well. And then Arsenal just didn't do anything. This here, Dani Ceballos, Matteo Guendouzi, or whether it's Granit Xhaka, who is apparently fit and available, it's not dynamic enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough moving forward. I don't really know. I don't know how you solve Arsenal's problems. I really don't. They've committed Cedric Soares to a new contract for 4 years, and he hasn't played a game. Don't know the thinking behind that one. David Luiz has got a contract extension as well. This will most likely, if you can get Kieran Tierney in here, that should give you a bit more on the left-hand side for Arsenal. Other than that, though, like if we just go back and look at Southampton's lineup, Southampton should be all over this. They should absolutely be all over this. And I think, even though, like, I'll be totally honest with you, I don't know all of their players, but, like, Che Adams coming on as well. Stuart, Will Smallbone coming on as well. Sofiane Boufal, all right, they don't come on at times that are going to make it much of a difference. And the fact that they didn't even play, like, Vestergaard and stuff like that there as well. They've got options from the bench. And I purely think that Southampton are going to win this game. Arsenal need it, because they want to be getting into these sort of positions here, around 7th and 6th, to try and get in the Europa League. Forget top 4 for now. I don't care that you're only 6 points behind Man United. This 5th position might not be a Champions League place yet, and you've got to get that in your mind as well. You've got to be aiming for 4th. Now, if you're aiming for 4th and you're 11 points away with only 8 games to go, and you're expecting Chelsea, Leicester, Man United to all drop points enough for Arsenal to make up ground, it's not going to happen. Not in my opinion. Southampton, on the other hand, they're pretty far away from relegation now. If they pick up a victory, which I'm thinking that they will pick up a victory against Arsenal, then they'll be on 40 points. They'll be level with Arsenal as well. And I firmly believe that Southampton will pick up the victory. I just think that they'll have much more going forward. I think they'll have a better defence, a better defensive unit set up, and a better midfield as well. Much more dynamic, much more high press. And I don't think that Arsenal are going to win this game. I really, really don't. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Southampton win. Let me know what you think in the comments about that one. Now, we then come on to Burnley versus Watford. And in their last 2 games out, let's just have a look at Premier League only. Burnley got beat 5-0. It was against Man City. Watford got a 1-1 draw against Leicester when it was the 2 defenders that scored. I think it was Dawson scored for Watford. But yeah, on the face of it, you'd look at it and say Watford should be winning this one. I'll look at the lineups for each of these anyway, but I just think when you look at it here, like Jay Rodriguez is normally someone that would play well. Now, you've also got to appreciate that they did come up against Man City. Man City can be a juggernaut and do this type of result of 5-0 against a lot of teams. I remember them beating Liverpool 5-0 when we had Sadio Mane sent off a couple of years ago. They can beat teams 5-0 and they can just get clinical. They've got class players. They've got brilliant players on the bench, one of the deepest benches I've ever known in the history that I've been watching football. It's going to be a struggle for Burnley against Watford, I think. But then you've also got to look at Watford. In my opinion, they've got a bit more of a solid team. Like Kabasele, all right, he lost the ball a couple of times against Leicester, but he's generally pretty solid. Craig Dawson is pretty good as well. They've got a pretty solid midfield. Like, I'm a big fan of Doucouré. Didn't really do much in that game. Ismail Sarr, like, his passing was well off in the game against Leicester. So if he can get that back to, like when he was playing against Liverpool and they beat us 3-0, if he can do that in this game against Burnley, then they should be able to pick up the victory here pretty easily. The only thing that goes against them is obviously where they are in the table, but the table doesn't always show you everything. Like, if you go game by game, Watford should be looking to win this one because Burnley are pretty much down and out, like, in terms of morale. They're in a good place in the table. They haven't really got a great deal to play for. I know there was some rumours or something like that, or some quotes from some players where they were like, we could be, aiming for Europe. As soon as you start saying things like that, your focus changes a little bit and you take your eye off the ball a little bit. All Watford are doing is they're going to be saying, we are fighting for survival. We are absolutely fighting for survival. Now, if Watford get a point, they get a win, it doesn't matter. They can't go higher than 16th. but they can take themselves further away from West Ham, from Bournemouth, from Aston Villa. Norwich are already down, in my opinion. These guys, obviously West Ham played last night against Tottenham as well. The other night against Tottenham, so they lost 2-1. They've already played their game. So if Watford can get themselves onto 29 or 31 points with a victory, then that'll put them in good stead for actually surviving the season as well, and then they would have 7 games to go to survive. For me, purely on the fact that I think that Watford have got more to play for, and they should have the drive to be able to go on and play well in this game against a possibly wounded Burnley, I'm going to go for a Watford win, but I'm only going to go for a 1-0. I don't think that they threaten enough up front. I don't know what's happened to the likes of Andre Gray, whether he's injured or not, or I'm pretty sure they had, I can't remember, was it Danny Welbeck? I think Danny Welbeck's there as well. Don't know how much he's going to contribute in these games either. I just think that Burnley can turn it on. Like, they've got Jay Rodriguez, who can be a danger in front of goal. But for me, I think it's going to be a Watford 1-0 victory. And then we come to the final game of the preview. Chelsea versus Manchester City. There's barely any point in looking at Man City's game against Burnley, but we're going to look at the lineup that they had anyway, and Chelsea's lineup to compare. Man City have the deepest squad and quality squad in the entire league, if not the entire of Europe. That is my opinion. As a Liverpool fan, they have such a deep squad. I mean, all right, look at the starting lineup here. Yes, they've got to play Fernandinho at centre back sometimes. Otamendi, Joao Cancelo, Zinchenko, David Silva, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Mahrez. Aguero's injured. Looks like his season might be done. A knee injury again. Phil Foden as well played brilliantly against Burnley. And then you look at this. Aymeric Laporte comes off the bench. They've got Benjamin Mendy, Gundogan, Kyle Walker's on the bench, didn't get used. Kevin De Bruyne was on the bench. Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, Leroy Sané, who even if he's on his way out, I mean, every single one of these players could find themselves into a team within the top 6, without a doubt. And I'm talking starting 11, obviously. Like when you're looking at De Bruyne, Sterling, Jesus, even Mendy to a point as well. Kyle Walker might be getting on a little bit, but still quality defender. Same with Laporte. They've got such a deep bench and a quality bench as well, and they play very good attacking football. They seem to be getting their flow, their fluid football back as well at the moment, and they look good. I mean, anyone looks good when you've won 5-0 against a team like Burnley. But then we come on to Chelsea's team as well, and Chelsea turned the screw in this game. They went down in the first half just before half-time. Giroud getting a goal, and I'm pretty sure, Pulisic. But their bench isn't too bad either. Reece James is a very good fullback as well. Kurt Zouma, he's a bit here or there. Probably wouldn't be a starter, but Pulisic comes in and can do a good job. Billy Gilmore is a very good young lad as well. Ross Barkley seems to be doing good. Pedro's a good option with experience. Tammy Abraham had an injury, but he's also coming back and can do good things once he gets his flow back up as well, gets himself back playing more regularly. He'll have much more of an impact than he's had recently. And then they've got look at it, like their midfield is again another good midfield. This could be a battle of midfields between Chelsea and Man City. When you got Mason Mount, young English lad, very, very good. N'Golo Kante, one of the best defensive midfielders on the planet, if not the best. Kovacic, another very good midfielder as well. Willian, all right, I think he's signed an extension to his contract. He's going to be staying for at least the end of the season. Still quality, still a very good player. Azpilicueta, still a very good player. Then the defence seems a lot more solid than it was. Even though they conceded that goal before half-time, it was more of, I would say it was Kepa's fault. He's the only real weak link, I would say, for Chelsea. So while Manchester City have got all the quality, and they do, they have bundles of quality, Chelsea should be able to compete in this game as well. And it's going to be really difficult to actually think of a scoreline prediction for this type of game. Now, what can happen in this game? Chelsea, ideally, for them, they need to pick up the victory. They want to hold off Man United and Wolves that are behind them. They want to hold those guys off as long as humanly possible. They want to hold on to their 4th position. But Chelsea, if they also pick up a positive result, a draw or a win, could also start chasing down Leicester, who in their last 5 games they've only won once, lost twice and drew twice as well. They could actually chase down 3rd position. Then for Man City, what does it really mean for Man City? Well, what it means, if they pick up the victory, instead of being 8 points ahead of Leicester, who are in 3rd, they would be able to pick up, they would be 11 points ahead and pretty much secure 2nd place for themselves and make themselves almost uncatchable in 2nd position. It would also mean that they further delay Liverpool from winning the title, which is what everyone is wanting Man City to do, apart from me. Obviously, I'm a Liverpool fan. If Man City go on and lose, what it would mean is that Liverpool only need 1 win or 2 draws to win the title. Other than that, if they lose, it doesn't really mean a great deal. It still means that Leicester would be 8 points behind them, and not a lot of shifting would happen for Man City in terms of positions or anything like that. I still don't think Leicester are enough of a threat to chase down Man City's 2nd place. I don't think that's going to be possible. But Chelsea really will want to pick up a win here, and they'll probably go out. The one thing that you get with Lampard's Chelsea is they create chances a lot. They get forward a lot. It's making sure that when they do get forward, when they do get the ball, they don't leave themselves open at the back for a Manchester City attack. However, I think that Man City will just out-quality Chelsea by a little bit. I think that Chelsea will start quite well. I think they'll start quite quickly, but I think Man City will get a grip of the game pretty quickly as well with their quality. And I think all the players that you saw that were on the bench against Burnley, like the likes of like De Bruyne, when you see those guys, like Laporte as well, Gabriel Jesus will be starting, I imagine, because of Aguero's injury. Sterling could probably start over Phil Foden, but I think he's put a real good shout on getting into the team as well. I think that the quality of Man City and the way that they play will eventually, do Chelsea over. For a score prediction for this game, I'm going to go for a 3-1 Manchester City win. I think that Chelsea will compete well, but I just don't think that they will have enough to come up against Chelsea to really overthrow Man City at this time. But surprises have happened since the Premier League's come back. We never know what can happen in all of these games. They're all just a prediction. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below about any of these games and who do you think is going to win in any of them as well. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do like it and subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you once again, and I'll catch you later.